So announcements? Anything happening?
So if there's only one thing that you could teach your students about English composition, what would it be?
Wow, one thing. How do other people answer this question?
I don't know, I haven't asked anybody else.
No. Oh, jeez. What would you think? What would you want?
Any English majors or potential English majors? Anyone know English majors?
It took a long time before I finally settled into the English major stuff, and this was in Illinois. Like I don't know, I wanted to be either like a farmer or a cowboy, like most of my life, and I was raised between cornfields, and so, I mean, farmer seemed like the most applicable. But eventually I settled into an English major at a small school in Illinois called Augustana College. At Western Illinois, if you wanted an assistantship, the first step was generally working in the Reading Writing Center. And so that was my first experience really tutoring writing. And at the same time, I was able to take classes on composition studies. And so there, for a while, there was this big disconnect on what I actually thought teaching writing involved. And you know, the paper, like being able to read about it on paper, huge difference. But then after working in the writing center, the opportunity came up as, hey, you can apply again and come as a TA. So applied into that program and got it and just fell in love with it. I mean, immediately. I was terrified, but knew that I enjoyed it.
Having babies in Ireland, like, we've been very insensitive this whole semester.
Yeah, but with religion, there's always like a lot of controversy. And like the three things you told us not to talk about or write about was like religion, abortion, a lot of things, and then you make us read something like this.
Isn't it something? Weird, but when I first began teaching, I noticed, or at least it felt really natural, and it felt really good in the classroom to let the conversation go to the side here and there and explore these offbeat topics, but just let the discussions go. And because of that, we always had a real good community in the classroom, and I was always impressed by the writing. Like, it was very creative. What if cockroaches ran for Senate? And then described just tossing out a question like that in a classroom is really good for people's brains, because what is it? It forms these little connections that couldn't be made, probably shouldn't have been made, but it makes some kind of connection. The more you discuss it, it's just creating new pathways in there. And so I haven't really reincorporated, you know, these absurd questions, but allowing the conversation to sometimes stray has really helped the classroom and helped the writing.
And you've taken on that voice of an expert, basically taken on the voice of these sources that you've been using. That's fantastic. That's phenomenal. That takes a lot of hard work. So be proud. Be proud with taking on that sound.
I mean, I don't know, there's a lot. I mean, it's hard to pick just one.
One thing. Form equals function, maybe, if that makes sense. Make sure the shape of it fits what it needs to do. Wow.
It's kind of a loaded question,
Yeah,
huh?
great question, but still, we can theorize it. In enough books to fill this bookshelf 8 times, but I mean, the actual being in the classroom and working with the writing, that's where the education is. That's where our time needs to be focused, I suppose.
Imaginary literary analysis or rhetorical analysis?